Since 1923, it's been a test of man.
Every driver in his career wants to drive here.
And machine.
It's a testimonial to a car's reliability.
All effort put into this one race.
For me, it's probably the single most important race that I'm going to do all year.
A race against the clock.
The race is not 2 hours, 24 hours.
It takes a very special driver.
Every race car you put me in, I try my best.
But no matter who is behind the wheel, the goal is the same, to be the first across the finish line when the clock strikes 4 and join the elite few who can stand on this podium at the end of the race day. Welcome to Le Mans, France, where we are in store for a true classic event, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'm Marty Reed, and for the next 90 minutes, don't turn away from Prime, because our Prime race coverage will give you all the great action of this 1994 event. Our man pittside is a 16-year veteran of the 24 Hours, Alan DeCadney.
That's right, Marty. I had 16 years here trying to win it, but I didn't start till 1971. The race itself first took place in 1923. Shenade Walker, this car here, won it in 1923, and of course they started selling more cars as a result. Well, then Bentley and Alfa Romeo and Bugatti all cottoned onto this, and they thought, well, we'll try and win it, we'll sell more cars. After the war, Astons and Jaguar, Porsche, Ford, everybody tried, everybody won it, and found out they could sell more cars too. Now here we are in 1994. There are many, many manufacturers here, all different marques, all trying to win it. Personally, I think the Nissan stand a good chance because they've already won at Daytona and Sebring. But you can never discount Porsche. They know what they're doing too. And there's several other people here who are all in with a chance. The new Automobile Club's equivalency formula could work very well. I think we're going to be surprised by who wins it.
Well, thanks, Alan. We'll be waiting for more reports from pittside, and oh, what a spectacular sight as the main straightaway here at Le Mans is graced with the presence of some tremendous old cars. Stay with us. Our coverage continues after this. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is brought to you by your friends at Porsche, who want you to know the new 911 is here. And by Rolex, the watch of champions the world over.
The Rolex 24 at Daytona, America's toughest sports car race. At the Daytona International Speedway, drivers like Hurley Haywood, 5-time champion, race through the heat of day and black of night. Both Hurley and his Rolex Cosmogram are up to the rugged demands of this legendary race. Rolex, the choice of champions.
The new Porsche 911 Carrera was crash tested in this secluded building. To Gerhard Royce, who tunes the radical new suspension. To Ivanka Madsen, who stitches a cabriolet top that takes 14 hours to make. And to Stepan Rebrovich, who builds the more powerful engine by hand. This building was the perfect place for these crash tests. Why? Because it meant they didn't have to watch.
It's a major breakthrough in auto protectant technology. Formula 2001 Super Protectant. It provides a more brilliant, longer-lasting shine than Armor All on vinyl and leather. And look, in the Arizona desert, Formula 2001 brought back the shine to UV-faded vinyl, rubber, even leather. Get the new standard in automotive protectant technology. Formula 2001 with 50% more active shining ingredients than Armor All. Get Formula 2001 products today.
Big T on the bottle, big taste inside. Tecate beer and new Tecate Light. It's the T thing. So come on everybody, let's take
the T thing. Welcome back to Prime Racing's coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'm Marty Reed. And you know, this is a race with multiple classes. Alan DeCadney has more.
This is the Cougar Le Mans Prototype 1 car, an older Group C car, but it's got a restricted fuel capacity of only 80 litres, and the engine is restricted to give perhaps 500 to 550 horsepower. Now, the object with this car is to try to stay out a little longer than the other cars, maybe 12 laps before they refuel. Now, if they could do that, they'd save 10 minutes during the race. 10 minutes is over 2 laps. That's the difference between winning and losing. This is an LMP2 car, the Courage's little sister, if you like. A lot less horsepower, not as quick, but although it won't win the race outright, there's still a class to be fought for, and winning it will be a great privilege. GT1, Porsche have built this very clever car, the Dauer machine. It's got 120-litre fuel capacity, and it's not typical of the other GT1 cars, but it can stay out for something like 14 or 15 laps. Just as Roger Penske found a niche in the rules to let him have a Mercedes-Benz engine at Indianapolis, so Porsche have been very clever with this car. They can save perhaps a half an hour on the race by not having to call into the pit so much, but it's a heavy car. It could win. This is a Porsche 911 GT2. That is a really production-built road car, but it goes racing. It has 120-litre fuel capacity, and this car won its class at the Daytona 24-hour race earlier this year. And this team have won another 24-hour race last week at the Nürburgring. So I would say they have a very good chance of finishing well here. They were 3rd overall at Daytona. I think they'll finish in single figures here. And there's no doubt that because they can go 22 laps without having to fuel, they won't waste very much time in the pits. So they're slower, but they waste less time. That means a good result. This is the Nissan IMSA GTS car. Now, it has 100 litres of fuel allowed in the fuel tank, but there's a restrictor on the engine which will restrict it to something like 600, 650 horsepower. Now, this car will run for maybe 40, 45 minutes before it has to come back in the pits for fuel. Now, Nissan have never won at Le Mans before, but this car won the Daytona 24-hour race, and it won at Sebring. That's why they're here. If they can win the Le Mans 24-hour race, well, no one's ever won all 3 together. It will be quite something.
And the Nissan effort suffered a major setback in the morning warm-up, just 4 hours before the cars were to be on the grid to maintain their starting positions. This is Paul Gentilozzi in the number 76 car. Co-drivers Eric Van der Poel and John Morton. And the car ignites into flames. Now, it started on the right side. Now, that's where the exhaust system runs down the side of the vehicle. And before Gentilozzi can get it close enough to a corner worker with a fire extinguisher, it is fully engulfed. There you see the first corner worker coming onto the scene. Watch the back of the car, and there is Paul Gentilozzi. He was okay, but the car suffered major damage along the right side with all of the fire and flame that came up here. Look at how easily they just ripped the door off. That's Lee White taking a look. He was crew chief for this car, and he knows he's got a major task. One of the biggest problems is all the dust left over from the extinguisher as they have to get this car ready in less than 4 hours.
The exhaust runs down the door, and something in the door caught fire. We're not sure what yet. We have to be on the grid at 3:15 to start in our position. If we're not, we have to start at the back, which is something we can do.
Consider if you don't get there in time.
If we're not in time, we're going to start the race one way or the other.
Well, this is the end result. Take a look at the number 75 team car, and right alongside, absolutely amazing that they were able to get this car back on the grid in time.
Marty, as you can see, they're just under half an hour to go before this 24-hour race starts. The good news is that the second Nissan got back into the race. They repaired it. I've just seen Yves Courage. He's looking a bit nervous because he's got his car on pole position, but he could win this race. The thing is, all the cars are coming round to line up now for the start. All of them hope to be there at the end. Anyone can win it, and if they do, they'll end up on the podium up there. That's where they want to be in 24 hours' time.
Well, you can see we're just about ready to take the green flag at the 1994 version of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Prime Racing's coverage of this great historic event continues right after this. Back at Le Mans, France, and yes, this is another one of the many traditions, the Hawaiian Tropic Girls. It's one of the toughest jobs the drivers have to go through. Another will be strategy. Let's hear from the drivers themselves on how they're going to run this race.
We know that we can't keep up, but we do know, on the other hand, that we're very reliable. So we're going to go the distance at a medium pace and see what happens.
I think the team can do it. It's just a matter of waiting and seeing and just biding our time and keeping out of trouble the whole race.
If we're very lucky, we might finish. And if we finished well, we'd be spectacularly happy. If we happen to win our class, it's practically imponderable.
Like any 24-hour race, our goal is to finish. And, come 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, if we're doing good, we're going to run hard to the finish and hopefully win our class.
We are concentrating very hard on winning the GT portion, and depending on what happens and with a little luck, we could do quite well here.
If we're in the top 3 or 4 places during the night, I'll be a little bit more inspired than I have been over the years and maybe enjoy it more.
And you can see this tremendous crowd getting ready for the start of this race. Very nationalistic. Now, the third member of our broadcast team is Andrew Marriott. He will be calling the highlighted version of the 24 Hours of Le Mans for all of us here on Prime Racing.
Thanks, Marty. Toyota had an excellent chance this year. So too did Porsche, returning with 2 very controversial cars. They're the drivers of one of them. There is the Dodge Viper, René Arnoux at the wheel of that, the former Ferrari Grand Prix star. And there is the crowd favourite, Derek Bell, driving with Robin Donovan and Jürgen Lassig in the interesting open Kramer Porsche. There, the 4-wheel drive 4-turbo Bugatti. The first time that Bugatti had entered Le Mans for 55 years. Pierre-Henri Raffanel Courage Porsche, built just up the road. They'd been very quick in practice, but here the Porsche 962 GT. Was it really a GT car? There, the Jean-Louis Ricky car. He's from the Perfume Company with a Canadian and American co-driver. And that's Henri Pescarolo's car on the front row of the grid. The most experienced man in Le Mans history. He's won 4 times. Derek Bell, of course, alongside him, has run 5. But Henri had decided to let Alain Ferté start the Courage Porsche with a green strip on the windscreen. And in 3rd place, the intriguing little WR, which had gone so well in qualifying. That built to different regulations to start, but it was a bit of a shambles as the pace car pulled off very late. Alain Ferté very nearly collected the pace car, and that allowed Derek Bell to go into a glorious lead. Derek Bell trying for that 6th victory right at the very beginning, leading the race from the Cougar Porsche there of Alain Ferté, and then the first of the 2 Porsche 962 GTs. They had a superb lineup. Hans Stuck there at the wheel, and then the first of the Toyotas. Going through the field, the rest of the cars, interesting to see very high up the Nissan front-engine car. Front-engine car hadn't won Le Mans for some 20-odd years, but Nissan certainly had a superb challenge with their American team. And just look, here is the challenge on Derek Bell. Derek Bell leading down the Mulsanne straight, but going past him into the chicane, and out front, Alain Ferté. So Alain Ferté now leads. Derek Bell it is in 2nd place. Hans Stuck in 3rd place. And 4th, the Toyota, the Eddie Irvine-driven car. Eddie Irvine, of course, Jordan Grand Prix driver. And now we go in car with one of the Honda NSXs, just briefly. And in 5th place, it is Hans Stuck. And in fact, in 3rd place, the Porsche is driven by Thierry Boutsen, a man with 160 Grand Prix appearances in his pocket, now concentrating on saloon and sports car racing. But for the locals from Le Mans, there was an early boost, because at the end of the very first lap, it was the Cougar Porsche. That car, designed and constructed just 4 kilometers down the road in Le Mans by a very small team, just 4 permanent employees, believe it or not, but the numbers boosted to 50 for this Le Mans. So the first lap certainly showing the different types of car, and into the gravel trap went Jean-Louis Ricky in the 3rd of the Cougar entries, and there you see him do it, and the WR spinning off the number 22 car of Jean-Francois Yvon. Also an early pits visitor, number 20, the Deborah of Bernard Santal. That in the special LMP2 category. And another very early spinner, the Ferrari F40, that superb supercar, going absolutely round and round with the Swede Anders Olofsson at the wheel, making a very rare mistake for the experienced man from Scandinavia. So pulling out of Arnage there, and another car in trouble. No, it's the Ricky car, and he's now managed to remove himself there from the gravel. Meanwhile, this Deborah receiving some early work, and that's always a bad sign. Off goes the De Tomaso Pantera. Dominic Chappell at the wheel. Dominic Chappell, best known in the British Formula 2 series. There he is, making a mistake. The track very slippy in the early stages, mainly because of the sun, very hot, temperatures up in the 80, and Dominic going for a wild ride across the gravel there in the orange De Tomaso prepared by the British ADA Engineering Organisation. And Dominic co-driving with Phil Andrews, another Formula 2, Formula 3000 driver. And, well, the car well and truly stuck, and Dominic trying to get it out of there. Dominic's first attempt at Le Mans, and another spinner, and that indeed is Eddie Irvine making an early mistake. The Eddie Irvine, Mauro Martini, Jeff Krosnoff car. All those three drivers competed regularly in Japanese sports car racing. And that car actually had a fourth name on it, the name of Roland Ratzenberger, the late Roland Ratzenberger. Ricky car coming into the pits to be checked after that early spin. Just to get back to that Ratzenberger story, of course, Roland, so sadly killed in the San Marino Grand Prix, was to have driven that Saab Toyota 94 CV at Le Mans. So the team putting his name on the car as an honour to him in his memory, and his crash helmet sitting there in their pit garage. Back to you, Marty.
Andrew, I don't think any of us will ever forget that weekend in Imola. Stay with us. We'll be back with more after this. Back to Prime Racing's coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. There is Danny Sullivan stretching with Hurley Haywood to his left. A great team in the Dower Porsches. That young man, well, if he looks like Hans Stuck, there's a good reason for it. There's Dad right below him. A little more hair than Dad. Now, this is an interesting shot. Every year they take a photo of the team, and there is the street version of the Dower 962. Porsche with a great tradition here at Le Mans. Let's take a look at the early years.
When you think of Le Mans, you think of Porsche. I've been very lucky to win 2 races here with Porsche. I've won 5 Daytona 24-hour races with Porsche. So, you know, Porsche and long distance and endurance are sort of the same.
No words ring more true than those of the 2-time Le Mans winner Hurley Haywood. The Stuttgart-based manufacturer has a reputation for perfection, with the records and the trophies to prove it. In its first race at Le Mans back in 1951 with the 356, Porsche was first in its class of 1,100cc engine vehicles. In the early years, Porsche competed with smaller engine cars but were consistently class winners. In 1955, in the 550 driven by Helmut Polinsky and Richard von Frankenberg, Porsche won its class again, rated first in the Index of Performance for the most efficient car, and finished 4th, 5th, and 6th overall. In the same race, Zora Arkus Duntov, ironically the father of the Corvette, drove a Porsche to a 13th place overall and a class win. Porsche attracted the best endurance racers with names like Wolfgang von Drips, who piloted this RSK4 in 1959 with Joe Bagné, and others such as Olivier Jean de Bienne, Hans Hermann, and Joe Siffert. In the 1960s, Ferry Porsche, founder of the Porsche Automotive Company, used the racetrack to improve the durability of his German sports cars. Beginning in 1965, Porsche won the Index of Performance 3 years in a row with the 904, 906, and 907. Every year, it was closer and closer to an overall win. In 1968, Porsche arrived with an all-star lineup of drivers including Hermann, Siffert, Vic Elford, and others. But it was a privately entered 907 driven by Dieter Sperry and Rico Steinemann, who finished second to Ford in the rain-soaked event. 1 year later, Porsche was again runner-up, this time in a 908 driven by Hermann and Gerard Larousse, now a Formula One owner. After a 3-hour battle, they lost on the final lap, again to Ford, in the closest Le Mans finish between competing makes. After years of class victories, everyone knew that it was only a matter of time before Porsche would win it overall. Let's go back to Andrew Marriott now. There's a change for the lead in the first hour. Andrew?
That's right, Marty. The 2 Porsches leading the race after the first set of pit stops. 4 we see now coming in, the Courages. This the Ferté car. And just seeing Alain Ferté climbing out of it. And Toyota's these first set of pit stops coming at just around the 40-minute mark. And this allowed the Porsches to run a little longer because the Porsches were running in the GT category and were allowed more fuel in the ACO special equivalency formula to try to equal everything up. Here the Toyota having its windscreen cleaned. This the Irvine car, and now going out of the pits, rejoining onto the fantastic 8-mile Sarthe circuit, now with Henri Pescarolo at the wheel. And people forget what a wonderful circuit there is here at Le Mans. It's the longest racing circuit which is regularly used in international motor racing, and it really is a superb challenge. Much of it, of course, carved out on public roads. Early problems for one of the 2 Dodge Vipers with their huge V10 engines in, and there Mauro Baldi climbing out of that Porsche and climbing into it Yannick Dalmas, a former winner with Peugeot of this race, of course. Porsche pit stop, a model of efficiency. And just to tell you about this GT story, this Porsche 962 design basically started racing in Le Mans some 14 years ago. It was an out-and-out racing car. A couple of years ago, a man called Jochen Dauer converted the old design into a road-going machine, thus turning it into a GT car. Now Porsche have taken an opportunity and found this loophole in the regulations regarding fuel and turned the GT car back into a racing car. Some of the customers of the normal 911 Porsche RSRs are not happy about the decision. Porsche say that they're only trying to win the GT category, but a lot of people reckon they're trying to win the race overall. And certainly these early hours have shown that they are a very competitive force as the number 35 car comes in. This is the car driven by Hans Stuck, the former Indianapolis winner Danny Sullivan, and of course Thierry Boutsen, who we mentioned before, who is just getting back into the car as Hans Stuck shuts the door and walks away. The lanky German, now based in Austria, who so loves racing, of course, has won with a very similar car here in the past.
Well, one of the moments we will not be able to show you in our highlighted coverage is a spin by Hans Stuck, but in pit lane, he put the blame squarely on teammate Danny Sullivan.
Normally it's Sullivan's job to spin and win, you know. No, but honestly, I just passed. It's laughing over there. I just passed Derek, and we had a little problem with third gear in the warm-up already. And I accelerated out in second gear, put it in third, and came into first. So the engine, then the back wheel started to spin, and you know, but I was quite confident, lots of room there. And I was looking in my mirror where I go, then I'm running straight, turn the wheel, put the brake, the other direction, second gear, and go on, you know. Brilliant. But I had about 280 pulls, you know, you better believe it. It cost me 10 years of my life, that's for sure.
Well, Hans gives way to Thierry Boutsen, and Boutsen takes the Dauer 962 back out onto the over 8-mile layout here at Le Mans. Here are the current standings after 1 hour, and keep an eye on that second place car, the Toyota, with Irvine behind the wheel. Stay with us, more after this. Marty Reed, Alan de Cadenet, and Andrew Marriott back with you at the 24 Hours of Le Mans here on Prime Racing. And not only is the race part of the excitement, but just getting around the French countryside as you can experience the beautiful fountains, the gorgeous flower gardens, and of course the magnificent cathedrals. It is also an opportunity to blend the new with the old. Where else can you find automobiles and horse-drawn carriages together? The food is also fabulous. Alan de Cadenet found a great spot.
Well, Marty, where else in the world but the 24 Hours of Le Mans could I have a nice, quiet, peaceful drink all by myself? Well, perhaps not quite all by myself. Some of these cars are doing 200 miles an hour, but I still have my drink.
Well, as we're on board, take a look on the left-hand side, because right there is where Alan is having his drink as we head down the Mulsanne Straight. Let's get back to our highlighted coverage here at Le Mans with Andrew Marriott. Andrew?
Thanks, Marty. It's very interesting to see Honda taking Le Mans very seriously, working with the Kramer team, who, of course, entered Porsche so successfully here in the past. And this GT category, the way that most people think Le Mans will go, it's the kind of cars that the spectators can really appreciate. Now, discussion here. Hervé Rigal there discussing what he might do to try and get this car going. And in the background, the two principals of the WR team. A dodgy moment there, just offline for the number 48 Honda of Christophe Bouchot, Armin Hahne and Bertrand Gachot. See it again, the car leaps over the curb, very nearly collects the number 55 Simpson Ferrari, driven by Robin Smith and String Brace, as well as the Japanese driver Tetsuya Ota. Well, in car we see what a wild ride it was. Put the teeth back in there. Wild ride there over the curbs, and that of course does not do the suspension any good at all. It also whacks the transmission, and that's what you must not do at Le Mans 24 Hours. You might get away with it at a Grand Prix, but at a race like this, that hurts the car, and maybe 2 hours later you'll feel the result of that. Le Mans all about smoothness, and there a big problem for the Eric van der Poel Kazuya Gentilozzi. Nissan being wheeled into the garage for some work, and that car had caught fire in the morning warm-up. Now, this was a big story. Coming slowly into the pits, the Dalmas Hayward Baudi car running out of fuel and freewheeling into the pits, and that was a lucky break, because if that had happened somewhere else around the 8-mile circuit, that car would have been out of the race. Pushed into the pits by the marshals. That's allowed because he got into the pit road, and that would be an absolutely vital moment of this race. Number 36, Fat International car. So Porsche getting lucky there, and as the race moved to the late afternoon, the leader was the number 1 car of Mauro Martini, Eddie Irvine and Jeff Krosnoff. There you see Yannick Dalmas getting out of the car, a relieved man that he'd only just made it home. This is the other Porsche, the Hans Stuck, Danny Sullivan, Thierry Boutsen. Tremendous driver trio there, and Boutsen at the wheel. Just see the Belgian colours on the edge of his crash helmet. Thierry Boutsen now racing mainly in the German Touring Car Championship, and they're just 1 minute 38 seconds behind the leading Toyota as he made this pit stop. And just to remind you once again, because it was vital that the Porsches did not have to stop as often as the Toyotas, because they were in a different class, in the GT class, which allowed them to run more fuel, basically run a bigger fuel tank. Danny Sullivan there with the red stripe on his helmet, former winner of the Indianapolis 500, a man without an IndyCar ride this year, and really enjoying racing at Le Mans. This is his second time at the circuit. He has done quite a lot of sports car racing. Look at that fuel spraying. Rather dangerous moment there. Car goes up on the jacks, as I mentioned before. These days you have to do 2 separate operations. Fuel stop has to be completed, and then the tyres can go on. Also, for the pit road, there was a speed limit, just as we have in Grand Prix racing. So the fat good years go on. I say fat good years, but in fact, in these GT regulations, we see that fuel spraying again. The tyre width much narrower than had previously been run on these 962s when they ran in the out-and-out sports car category. Quite a bit of shouting there. Getting ready. Turn the engine, that's the time-honoured motor racing signal. Kick it over, and out goes the car. That glorious 3-litre flat 6 engine. Let's go down to Alain de Cadenet in the pits.
Just 2 hours into the race, we've had a double panic at the Dow Porsche pits. Firstly, one of their cars limped in with no power to the engine at all. Max Welti, what was all that about?
Actually, we are just verifying it, but it looks like if as a reserve switch on the fuel wouldn't have worked like it should. But it's not 100% sure, but it looks very much like if it would be that.
Well, you got away with it because the car fueled up and went out again. But the second car came in, they fueled that, and the fuel went everywhere when they pulled out the nozzles.
That's right, there it was a problem with the hose. Pulling the hose off the actual tank filler. The hose didn't close quick enough, so all fuel went over the car and over the driver.
Well, no fire, thank God, and the cars are both out running very strongly indeed.
Well, stay with us. Our coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans on Prime Racing will continue right after this.
It could be the food. It could be the countryside.
24 hours around.
It could be the wine. Whatever it is, we really like this place.
It's tough being a fan when your team isn't the home team, especially when I try to find coverage of my favorite team in the local paper. I'm lucky if I can find last week's score. But if you're like me, you'll be happy to know there's one publication that'll make you feel right at home. The Sporting News. You'll love the Sporting News, no matter what team you love, even if it is the home team.
Call this number now and get 4 issues of the Sporting News free. You'll get opinions and analysis, team-by-team reports, and coverage of all the college conferences, plus baseball, basketball, and hockey all year long. Call now and you'll get 4 free issues of the Sporting News. If you like them, you'll get 24 more issues at this great TV price. If not, just mark the bill, cancel, and owe nothing. The 4 issues are yours to keep.
So call now for the Sporting News, the publication that treats every team like the home team.
Call now and you'll get 4 great issues of the Sporting News free.
Call 1-800-522-5333.
The fireworks are about to begin at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Let's continue our highlighted coverage with Andrew Marriott.
And look at that, big dramas there, and smoke looks like a blow-up, and across there, oh, and round it goes. No, you saw a flat tyre. The left rear tyre flat, and the car swapping ends there, and, well, a very dodgy moment there for the number 35 Porsche. And that will certainly hurt their chances because there's a long way to go around the rest of the circuit. And very nearly collected by one of the Nissan, so that car will have to limp round. Danny Sullivan at the wheel. One of the Chamberlain Lotuses, the green and yellow car going past. And see the tyre exploding and all that smoke coming off, and the front wheel locked up as well. You see that front wheel stationary, the weight jacking across and right across the grass. And Danny Sullivan then finding the car going through 360 degrees, flames coming out of the exhaust pipe. Just look at that, sensational pictures. Hans Stuck in the pits can see it on the television, and he's thinking, has my chance of winning Le Mans gone? So the 35 car limping back on that flat tyre, and that's always a dangerous time because it can so easily damage the suspension. And they'll be talking in the pits. I suspect that Hans Stuck there is actually listening to Danny over the radio. The team will know what the problem is. There they are, waiting. Stuck just showing his impatience a little bit. And now he is ready for the car to come in. Car which led the end of the first and second hours. So the driver comes out, and there you see the tyre in real trouble. Sullivan there shutting the door. And meanwhile, this helping the number 1 car to pull away in the lead. The V8 Toyota turbocharged car. And a fastest lap again for the Courage. And here the 2 Courages, in fact, see, with the red windscreen strip and the yellow windscreen strip, carving driving their way through the various track markers. Past the superb new pits as we go in car for a pit stop this time. Number 3 Courage is the Lionel Robert, Pascal Fabre, Pierre-Henri Raffanel car. But hear that noise, that sounds like a damaged gearbox to me from the Kramer Run Honda. The number 48 car there grinding to a halt in the pit road. The main Honda Challenger, the Bouchot Hana Gachot car, which had qualified in 21st place. And definitely a fairly major problem. Give me a push, he's saying. And there, the number 59 car off. That's the car driven by the very experienced Dutchman, Cor Oyzer, leading that driving team. And beached up there on the curbing. Meanwhile, the noise that Honda is making, that sounds to me as if the gearbox is in absolute pieces. As other cars come in along the pit road. Meanwhile, that Porsche in the GT2 class, one of the quicker cars in that class, gets away. And finally, the Honda arrives at the pits where it will be absolutely surrounded by Japanese camera crews. It's Bertrand Gachot there climbing out of the car. So, disappointment for him. Armin Hana getting in. And a lot of work going on at the back of the car. And, well, it could be quite a long wait there. There at 8 o'clock in the evening, the positions, computer telling us the sponsors' names. But the number 1 car, of course, the Toyota of Martini, Irvine and Krosnoff, leading by only just over 2 minutes from the number 36 Baudi, Hurley Hayward, Yannick Dalmas, Porsche, and then the second of the 2 Toyotas, and then the Porsches, and then the 2 Courage Porsches, all very close. What a close Le Mans this is turning out to be. 4 hours in and 3 cars still on the same lap as we have another exciting incident at one of these chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight. And it's Venturi having a big moment. That's the number 31 car of Almo Copelli, Riccardo Augusta and Michel Krein, and Augusta of the helicopter family. Well, a rural scene out there, and that's one of the great pleasures of Le Mans. It's in a beautiful part of France, and out in the west as the sun starts to set, and there Hans Stuck waits patiently for his next, and there Derek Bell at the wheel of the, oh dear, and that mechanic goes base over apex, and he couldn't do that again if he tried. Well, just look at that Courage right on the ragged edge there. The Pierre-Henri Raffanel, Pascal Fabre, Lionel Robert car, still definitely in the hunt, and running there in the top 6 as now the lights go on. Some of the spectators start to drift away to the many different pleasures and the fairground that's so close to this racetrack. And there you see it. And it all adds to this very special and totally unique atmosphere that we have at Le Mans. Back to you, Marty.
What's absolutely amazing in my mind about Le Mans, unlike Daytona where a great deal of the race is run in the dark, sunset is at 10 p.m. at night. And you may not be able to find soft ice cream, but how about Grand Marnier crepes? Yeah, you can definitely tell that you're in France. We're there for the 24 hours of Le Mans. Here on Prime Racing, the Toyotas are running 1 and 2, and that dour Porsche has slipped to 4th. Stay with us. Back with more after this. Andrew Marriott picks up the action in pit lane.
The night fell, this battle between Porsche, Cougar and Toyota continued. Andy Sullivan comes out of the car. At this stage in the race, it was actually the Georges Fouché, Stephen Ann's car, Bob Wallach car, which was leading. But it was always a close run thing, and never more than a minute or so between it. There's the number 1 car, the second of the 2 Toyotas, and there the 35 car in the pits. Lights ablaze. By this stage in the Le Mans 24 hours, often there's 3 or 4 laps between the leading contenders, but not the situation. There, Ballas talking to René Arnoux about the various gearbox problems that they were experiencing with the Dodge Viper, not surprisingly really, because Dodge are racing in this event for the first time. A private effort as this Corvette, the Boris side, the 3rd car comes in. This car had been leading the G2 category, and this was a big surprise, heading the various Porsches. And there again you see that fuel and brake pads going in, but that Corvette certainly looking very strong indeed, and well driven by Boris Side, Michel Maisonneuve and Frank Jelinski, the very experienced German racer who's done many Le Mans in the past, and he's very quick indeed. And a great rumbling V8 engine with that Corvette going out, and that was definitely a crowd pleaser, that car. But problems now for the second of the 2 Courage entries, the Raphaël Fabre-Robert car, and it looks as if that could be terminal, and the car pushed away indeed. Word coming that it is an engine problem, and that car, which had promised so much, which had led the race, seemingly out of the event. There goes the Seoul Bugatti in the race, and that up in about 11th place. That's a fine performance, but meanwhile in the number 1 garage, that tells it all. Lying in first place, the number 1 car, after that bit of mopping up in the garage area. Meanwhile, the 3rd of the garages, only 2 left now. That's the one with the Canadian and American drivers. And a dry night so often seems to rain at Le Mans in the night, but not this time. Of course, this is when tiredness starts to seek in, and Thierry Boutsen there shaking the hand of Max Velti, and I think Max is saying, you go off and have a little sleep in your caravan, Thierry. Well, here's the WR, the little cars which had promised so much but had been besieged with problems early on, and had dropped right near the back of the field, but now making up for lost time. Rather difficult to get out of that central seater car. And underneath there is a single-seater style chassis. Well, there you see the fine pits, and there you see the sun rising in the morning. Time to clean your teeth, time for the little red squirrels. Don't see too many of those to hop off the race course. Back to you, Marty.
Thanks, Andrew. That's your lead car at the 16-hour mark of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But look at 4th place. The Nissan is creeping up. Stay with us. More after this. Marty Reed back with you in our highlighted coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans on Prime Racing. Dawn has risen. Let's go to Andrew Marriott.
So, into the second half of the race, it appeared that Toyota had the upper hand. But Porsche was still chasing hard, and if Toyota slipped, then Porsche would be there. The Cougar Challenge had started to fade, and impressively, one of the 2 front-engined Nissans 300 ZXs had moved all the way up into 5th place. Problem there for that tile-beclad Venturi. Maybe it's run out of fuel, and the driver forgetting to connect his headset, and there's a few racing drivers who've had the ignominy of doing that on camera before. Just a quick view there, one of the first views we've had of that superb number 76 Nissan, now running up in 4th place. the Cunningham Racing Team entry. Steve Millen, Johnny O'Connell, John Morton. 3 Americans there doing a great job all through the race. That car winning the Daytona 24 Hours, and speculation it might even win this race. Let's go down to Alan de Cadenet in the pits.
I'm in the Nizam pit now, and the car that I thought would be favourite for this race is actually doing incredibly well, lying 4th overall. John Morton's just got out. So, John, how are things going out there?
Oh, they're going very well. We don't have much competition ahead of us that we think we can catch without somebody having trouble, and nobody's going to catch us, I don't think. So we're running a steady race, although we're trying pretty hard because we're a little concerned with Wallach and the other Toyota.
But the car sounds great and looks very stable, and you guys are doing a great job. So, what, 4 hours to go?
Yeah, the car's, like I've said before, this car's like a, I hate to say it, it's like a Porsche. It just seems to run forever. We've been abusing it pretty hard. We've been running almost qualifying times.
Well, John and Alan must have felt like the Sports Illustrated cover, Jinx, because not 10 seconds after that interview was completed, the 75 Nissan came into the pits for an unscheduled stop, and watch the left rear of the car as it ignites into flames. Quickly, the extinguishers are there on site, and it's quickly put out. What had happened was they had snapped the drive shaft. Fluid from the differential had sprayed onto the hot brakes. That's what caused the flames. But now the team had to make a change. What was absolutely amazing was the Nissan crew made the change in 19 minutes. They backed it into the garage, got the work done. They were not the only ones to have problems, though. Let's pick up the highlighted action with Andrew Marriott.
And problems there for the number 35 car, the Hans Stuck, Danny Sullivan, Thierry Boutsen car in second place. And, well, it looks to me as if a rear wishbone has broken. And here's Thierry Boutsen at the wheel of this car, which was still putting the pressure on the number 1 car. Look, coming in that corner, white, bang on the curb. And there, that very moment, you see the rear wishbone break. The car gets totally out of shape. Thierry Boutsen tries to collect it up. He's got a long way to go back to the pits. See the wheel at an absolutely crazy angle. And just able to limp the car around and hardly in control of it. Look at it, snaking there. Thierry Boutsen fighting to regain the control of the car at 40 miles an hour. And here he finally comes into the pit, and that's a big blow. Any chance that that car had of stealing the lead off the lead Toyota, gone. The number 4 Cougar, which had led in the night, that also having problems, which mainly with the brakes, which led it to really drop back into 4th place. And news 2 of the Derek Bell, Donovan Lassig car, that now up in the top 6 again, but of course hampered by the various pit stops in the night. And here is Jürgen Lassig this time at the wheel of the superb Golf Porsche. Hardly see her for the windscreen there. And have to say that Jürgen Lassig and Robin Donovan not putting in the same kind of lap times as Derek Bell, who has made it quite clear that this is his last Le Mans. And overtaking the Bugatti. Good to see that that car is going again. Flashes a light at his pit, probably says, I'll be in next time. And the team have already told us that Derek Bell will drive the final quarter of an hour session, and this car still with a chance of catching the 5th place car, so they've still got everything to play for. And what a close Le Mans it has been.
Marty Reid back with you at the 20-hour mark as we approach it here on our prime racing coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That's the overall race leader, the number 1 of Eddie Irvine, Mauro Martini, and Jeff Krosnoff in the Toyota. Alan de Cadenet updates the Americans.
Coming up to midday here at Le Mans, American cars are still doing incredibly well. The Callaway Corvette, I'm afraid, were very naughty boys. They ran out of fuel. Well, nothing wrong with that, except they tried to fill it illegally and they got disqualified. But both the Dodge Vipers are running very strongly indeed. Now I have Justin Bell with me. Justin, tell me about the Vipers. I think your father tells me you're catching him up.
Well, maybe they're coming back towards us rather than us catching them up. It's wonderful. We started 47th, but you know what Le Mans is about. You just keep going around, and we've had our fair share of problems. But it really is a strong, a V10 8-litre. It's just like it is a truck engine. It keeps going and going, and we've actually lost 5th and 6th gears, so we're just using 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. but it has so much torque that we're still doing about 190 miles an hour on the straight in 4th gear. So, but I'm revving it so high because they said rev it in 4th gear. I've gone a bit deaf. But what did you say?
Well, what we said, Justin, was your car is running in 12th. There's the team car, Francois Migaud at the wheel. And isn't it interesting and great to see an American mark running back at Le Mans as he screams down the Mulsanne straight? There was other action in pit lane. Both the Porsches were in at the same time. That's Yannick Dalmas climbing out and Mauro Baldi climbing in. Now, in the old days, under the old configuration of pit lane, this would have been impossible because it was so narrow, so congested. There's Max Velti pushing people out of the way as he's trying to get the 35 car back out onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, Alain de Cadenet caught up with Yannick Dalmas.
The car should work okay. It's okay. But it's difficult. Because early, last stint, it's a little problem physically, and Mauro and me, we go immediately in the car, but it's okay. The car, it's very important to finish, you know, and maybe it's good results.
Are you going more for the finish, or are you going to start attacking it and maybe trying to win now?
Maybe if we have the possibility to win, we push, you know. But I think 24 hours is very difficult, and it's necessary to push, but be careful with the gearbox, with the brakes, with the engine, you know, with the tires. And the race is not 2 hours, it's 24 hours. And for me, the last lap, you have the possibility to win, you know. And we work just the last lap.
Right. The clock has struck noon at the 24 Hours Le Mans. 4 hours of racing left. The team of Eddie Irvine, Mauro Martini, and Jeff Krosnoff on first with the Toyota, the Bauer Porsches second and third. Steve Millen, Johnny O'Connell, and John Morton in fourth in the Nissan. More after this. Marty Reed back with you on our highlighted coverage on Prime Racing of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and we are in the final 4 hours. Now, I've had the privilege of working in pit lane. It's grueling. You're up all night long. And Alain, you've got to be out there working hard.
Marty, if it's hard work out on the track, I can tell you it's been very hard work here reporting. I'm in the Yost Porsche tent, and I've been looking for a nice track dog, but unfortunately, they don't seem to have any. And I've had to make do with what they can offer. Ah, Claudia, thank you very much indeed. You see, Marty, it's tough, but we're doing the best we can.
I got to get back to pit lane, that's for sure. Here is Jeff Krosnoff in the Leaf Toyota. An hour and a half left. Let's pick up the call with Andrew Marriott.
Thanks, Marty. This a useful, but not by Le Mans standards at all, long lead by the number 1 car. It's pulling off. A problem for the leading car. Now, what can that be? Jeff Krosnoff, it is, at the wheel. Dear, look at that garage. They just can't believe it. There, the team management, they cannot believe what's happened to them. The car has pulled off right outside the pits. Whatever it is, it'll have to limp round if Krosnoff can fix it. Krosnoff talking on the radio, marshals running up, seemed to be going fine, and then it just ground to a halt. Now, usually when it's something like that, it's either an ignition problem or a gearbox problem. Krosnoff going to the back of the car and seems to know what it is. Appears that he's actually doing something to the gearbox, maybe the gear linkage. And Krosnoff, whatever it's done, he's fixed something. Well, I would assume, therefore, that it wasn't anything to do with the engine. It is probable that Krosnoff has been able to jam the car in gear, and that means that he'll be able to limp round, but almost certain will lose his lead. Just 90 minutes to go now before the end of the race. It looks as if Toyota, after all their hard trying, after 8 years, had got this race in the bag. There, the number 36 Porsche coming out of the pits, the fat car, and well, it has a chance of unlapping itself, and well, I don't know what that signal means, but I know what the face means. It has disappointment written all over it. And coming into the pits, the car which looks as if it will inherit the lead, so the Yannick Dalmas, Hurley Haywood, Mauro Baldi car. And there you see Mauro Baldi getting in, Yannick Dalmas getting out, and Hurley Haywood back in the pits. He's won Le Mans twice before, once at his first attempt, way back in 1977. Off they go, chasing after the Toyota, and the Toyota #1 car comes into the pits. And surely it will lose the lead here. Eddie Irvine in the bright orange helmet. Oh, listen to Krosnoff shouting. Krosnoff obviously disappointed. And of course, the car is still technically in the lead, but all the time in the inset, that Porsche is closing up on it. Just half a lap now, and the lead will change. And indeed, there you see the broken gear linkage. Just caught that black rod. If you saw the black rod going across the top of the engine, that was the broken gear linkage, and that is the problem. And with just an hour and a half to go, sensation at Le Mans. The lead changes, and into the lead, the Porsche 962 GT of Mauro Baldi, Yannick Dalmas, and Hurley Hayward. Well, how long will this pit stop take? It must be agonizing for the drivers. They had led the race from the 14th hour. So this, the new leader. And there is a possibility that the second Porsche, the Stuck Sullivan Boutsen car, there it is, will move into second place. Back to you, Marty.
Well, Andrew, one of the things that's always interesting about this race is how teams battle back. And if you think Toyota with an hour and a half will give up, they will not. They will come back. But right now, Porsche's running 1-2, a very familiar spot for the mark.
Jackie got taken off on the first lap by Ian Lammers, and it took us all night to get back and make the lap back up again that we lost. And we took it at 6 o'clock in the morning, and something else went in the electronics, so I changed it, feeling my best at 6, and then we got back up into the lead group again, and then something else went wrong with the radiator leak, and then the brakes started to crack up later in the day. All this was done, of course, within those fuel limits that we used to have in those days, and we finished second by 27 seconds, and I broke the lap record twice in the last hour or something like that. So
the famous and victorious 962. The Rothmans Porsche, with one of the most all-star lineups Porsche ever put together, was tested right up to just days before the race. And who better to test than 6-time Le Mans winner, Jackie Ickx. Once One hour remaining at the 24-hour of Le Mans. This is the leaderboard. The two Porsches running 1-2, and the Toyota of Jeff Krosnoff slipping to third. Gear linkage proved to be the problems. He talked in pit lane.
For me, it's one of the three crown jewels of motor racing, and when you have it in your hand for so long and then you lose it over something so trivial, so trite, it kind of takes the taste out of your mouth. But no, we're still cheering for Eddie. It's going to be brilliant, and we hope we can get at least second.
So it's been a Le Mans of changing fortunes, and to a cheer from the crowd, out goes that Toyota. Stricken there with victory in sight, and it is in third place, but has a fighting chance of still taking second place. Eddie Eddie Irvine is the man at the wheel. Oh, Danny Sullivan there discussing the prospects. Danny Sullivan knows that his car is in second place at the moment. Here is the new leader, the number 36 car. There is Yannick. Could Yannick win this race for a second time? But Eddie Irvine really charging, and here looking to unlap himself, and indeed he passes the car which looks as if it is destined for victory. Baldi, Dalmas, Hayward, the controversial so-called GT car. And talking of GT cars, in the GT2 category, that Corvette we saw earlier ran out of fuel, was refueled illegally and disqualified from the race. So now, leading that G2 category, the Porsche 911 RSR of Dupuis, Pareja and Palau, two Spanish drivers and a Frenchman. And drama here. What is the problem? Somebody is in the tyre wall. Here is the Bugatti passing the Viper. Christian Bouchot at the wheel, and look at that, just suddenly turns sharp left, and that Viper so lucky not to collect it, and it looks as if it's going into the wall, and bang, hard into the wall, bits fly off. Well, that car had lost a lot of time with the turbos, and it looks maybe there's some oil on the back tyre, maybe another turbo had blown, didn't see any smoke from it. We caught the incident a little bit late, and revolving round and round, and in the last hour, big disappointment for the Bugatti, because it seems to me that that car will definitely not restart. Back to you, Marty.
So the Toyota is back on the lead lap, and the excitement is not yet over as they are chasing the Porsches here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans here on Prime Racing. Stay with us. Marty Reed back with you on our Prime Racing coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, one of the great museums for automobile history right there at De La Salle. Let's pick up our race action with Andrew Marriott as we head for the exciting conclusion.
Well, a late driver change for the lead car. Comes into the pits. This is the final pit stop now. And Yannick Dalmas going to take over the car for the final stint. And a very quick one, what they call a splash and dash. But meanwhile, also going out of the pits after their final pit stop is the Toyota. Eddie Irvine still at the wheel, and I think this last 40 minutes or so is going to see a real Grand Prix out there, because Eddie Irvine really wants that second place. Again, we see the fuel flying. That car in the lead. Thierry Boutsen at the wheel of the second place Porsche. Max Velti there. And just look how close they are now. That is the gap between second and third position after almost 24 hours of racing in this stupendous Le Mans. Listen to the crowd. -4 seconds, they're saying to Eddie Irvine. Yes, you can do it. You can catch Thierry Boutsen, but will second place be any consolation for the drivers who led this race for so long? And coming to the finish now, and look, oh, dearie me. But of course, those cars are crawling. They don't want to do another lap. I'm very nearly collected by these two racing for second place. Normally at the end of a Le Mans like this, you can crawl round, no problem. But that was so close, and I believe, yes, Eddie Irvine has got past. Eddie Irvine is in second place. The Irishman, the Northern Irishman, driving his heart out, but the car which is just now romping towards the checkered flag, the Jostron Porsche, but a factory car coming to the flag. Hurley Hayward, Mauro Baldi, Yannick Dalmas. Mauro Baldi not won this race before. The checkered flag goes down, and Porsche win Le Mans for the first time in 7 years. And second place, there's the Toyota team management, and still this battle continues, and Thierry Boutsen trying to see if he can find a way round, and look, cars everywhere. This is very dangerous indeed, and they should be allowed to race to the flag, but they can't. And as Derek Bell comes home to take sixth place, the flag marshals very nearly mown down there, crossed the line, and yes indeed, the Toyota, the #1 car, does finish second. So it's au revoir from Andrew Marriott.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk to Hurley Haywood, a winning team, as he's done it for a third time at Le Mans. Stay with us.
The Rolex 24 at Daytona, America's toughest sports car race. At the Daytona International Speedway, drivers like Hurley Haywood, 5-time champion, race through the heat of day and black of night. Both Hurley and his Rolex Cosmoprint are up to the rugged demands of this legendary race. Rolex, the choice of champions.
It could be the food. It could be the countryside.
24 hours around.
It could be the wine. Whatever it is, we really like this place.
Let's check the top 10 finishers at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The Dower Porsche, Yannick Dalmas, Hurley Haywood, Mauro Baldi. The Toyota comes in second. What a comeback for them. And the other Dower Porsche in third. And the Nissan of Steve Millen, Johnny O'Connell, and John Morton finishing a very strong fifth. Derek Bell in his final Le Mans finishes sixth, and the winning GT2 car, the Porsche RSR, Dominic Dupuis, the lead driver, in eighth. Let's go to victory lane, an exhausted Hurley Haywood.
This win, I think, is the most rewarding. We had to drive flat out the whole time, and when you can win a race and you don't have to baby it and you're not coasting to the end, I think that makes you feel good. And Mauro and Yannick were fabulous teammates, and we all three got along very well, so I'm very happy.
Mauro, you're obviously happy too.
I'm very happy. I have to be careful to speak, otherwise I'm going to cry.
The best moment in your motor racing career?
Well, this is the most important race, yes, of course. I tried many times, but to win a Le Mans, I thought it was for me nearly impossible, because I was very close many times, but this time, thanks to Yannick and to my friend American, we did, I think, that a very, very good job, the three of us, and as Hurley said before, we drove the maximum we could ourselves and getting out everything from the car. So, I mean, that's why I agree with Hurley saying that this is really a very good victory. A little bit of lag at the end, but we deserve it.
Well, it was great, and I got to say, everybody at Porsche the whole week was just a fabulous week. I mean, I'm very happy that the team won. Hans and I were just talking. We have a fabulous team with Terry, myself. We just spent too many times in the pits and too long around the track, a couple of laps, and but what a great finish. We got beat by Carling.
And well, Hans, you love Le Mans, don't you? But a great result, third. But there you are.
I mean, what can you achieve more than first and third place, you know? I mean, a GT1 car won overall and won the class, of course. And just like Denny said, we have been a great team, all six of us, and we are very happy. What can we say more?
Coming back next year?
We just agreed that we want to do some more long-distance races together, because we experience with the same age, you know, so we're still doing quite good, huh?
He's got more grey hairs than you, Hans.
A little bit. He has grey hair, mine are gone. So in the end, it adds up, you know.
Congratulations. Fantastic effort from Porsche.
Thank you.
And as the champions take the podium, to the cheers of the 100,000 fans, let's get some final thoughts from Alan de Cadenet. Alan?
What an extraordinary result. Toyota took the lead during the night. We all thought they had it in the bag, and then they failed. Well, that's motor racing. There's not much one can do about it. But this formula has worked so well that they're talking next year of a series: Daytona, Sebring, Le Mans, and a race in Japan. Now that would be really something to see. Chryslers are coming into the picture, and so are other manufacturers who are getting excited about long-distance racing again. Perhaps we'll see a revival of racing the way it used to be back in the 70s and 80s. I shall be there. I hope you'll join me.